Hey, and welcome back to the Girl Boss Method and myself, Richu. So, this just for transparency in terms of the time of year that it is right now. It's December 23rd. We have landed in Christmas week, Christmas Eve's to put it frankly. And I think around this time of year, it can get again overwhelming. There's so much going on. We've had everything, from the shops going crazy, from things at work going very busy, trying to wrap things up, getting last bits done. And then also we've got this other thing, right? We've got this other thing where it's, fitness and nutrition and health and I've got to make progress and all of this stuff. And I don't want this this week to kind of all the progress I've made to be undone. And we know that typically, and we've talked about this before as well, that this time of year is when people generally end up putting on the sort of, yearly weight gain. Um, but I'm here to kind of reassure you that firstly, that's normal. And we know that we can work, from January, but it's also to kind of live in this time of balance as well. And it got me thinking through some of the conversations that I've had with the ladies inside the program over the last few days, over the last week, or even slightly longer. December can be a really triggering, tough month. You're having Christmas, just it's in your face, it's there. It starts, all the talk about being around the family, being with friends. And I think it's just important for us to kind of step back and actually just understand that for some people, this is actually a really tough time. So, again, this might be quite a heavy um, topic that I'm presenting today, but I thought it was definitely really valuable for me to acknowledge it and also understand that not for everybody, it's not going to be an easy ride and it's not going to be something that is just full of bright and happy times. So, I want to kind of talk to you about how, again, yes, it can be an incredibly tough time and life, again, it can throw so many different challenges, one after the other. But I want us to kind of approach this, with navigating through the tough times with strength and self-care. And I want to talk to you about how focusing on nutrition, fitness, and also lifestyle changes can actually help you feel a little bit more in control, right? And so I get that there are struggles, there's stress, there's time issues, but there's also a massive emotional burden as well for some of us. And sometimes we often think of fitness and nutrition as just this like other thing that we just do, right? This other thing that we do just to look good and to feel good. But there are so many other things that it kind of transpires into in terms of the picture of us and us and our lives and how it can really help you. It can help support you through life's challenges. So I want us to kind of talk about this and face this together. And I've been through, like you and anyone else as well, we've all been through tough times. But one thing I will say is I've always been grateful for how I've had nutrition, the lifestyle, the all of those things kind of tie in and really help provide some grounding for me, some gratitude to kind of push through these times. So again, why are why tough times feel overwhelming? So obviously we know that emotional stress can take a toll on your mental and physical health. And this again can kind of move on into, again, if there are things that are going on and you're either um, you know, overeating or undereating or any of those things and also just the emotional toll can leave you feeling very de-energized. You have that lack of energy and this can start to draw you to making poor decisions and then as a result feeling guilt as as a repercussion. So it's the lack of energy driven by the emotions. Again, this is going to be the stress on your mental and your physical health, poor decisions, and then feelings of guilt. But what we need to accept is that life is unpredictable. And quite often we think about self-care as being more of a luxury rather than a necessity. But this is one reason why you're on this program. It's to realize that actually this self-care is so much more than, you know, um, like I said, a luxury. So it's so much more than just spa days and fancy whatevers. It's actually a necessity, and it's really important that we kind of think about ourselves also being a pillar within our families, within our friendship groups, even for some of you within work as well. If you're in industries where you do a lot of caregiving, if you're not looking after yourself, like how can you show up for others and how can you help others? And I think it's really important that if you want to be that person that does try and hold everything together and help carry things through, you've got to be strong. And it's okay to be weak, but it's also important to kind of think about how we can continue building ourselves up and being that rock in that hard place. And so it kind of, again, brought me into the conversations and things. Again, the role of fitness and nutrition, right? So we know that fitness builds resilience and movement build releases endorphins. So those are those happy hormones that, again, they're going to help us improve our mood and they'll help us cope with stress. It's a really good outlet. And this doesn't mean that movement has to equal hit training or running or anything like that. I mean, running can be very mentally freeing, but even if for you it's walking, like walking can be really such an amazing outlet to kind of, again, make you feel good and feel the wind against your face. And also thinking about movement as well. It's not all just workouts and things that just, we're building fitness. Other components of fitness that again are often forgotten about that are massively important to our lives, especially where many of us are so desk based or desk orientated. We're fixed to our desks. There's so much sitting going, whether it's commuting or traveling. Even when it comes to relaxation, there's so much sitting that's involved. So movement can also involve things like mobility, and mobility again is a certain thing that you can do that helps free the body. And when you're doing that, you are actually releasing these really happy, positive hormones. And then when we're thinking about nutrition, nutrition directly fuels our strength, right? That consistent, the consistency, the nourishing meals, again, they're going to help stabilize our energy and our emotions. And we know that nutrition, again, when there are periods of feeling low, for many of us, we can get very much in our feelings with nutritions. It can provide a source of comfort, and it can also provide a source of harm in some ways as well. And again, it's this, either ends of the spectrum where it's, you're eating because something makes you feel good, but when you feel bad, you're also eating a certain way as well. So again, if you're heavy within your emotions because of what you're going through, what are we doing to nourish ourselves and how are we using our nutrition to really sort of guide us through these tough times? And it's not to say that we can't have things, foods that are fun and nice and satisfying and do provide us that comfort, but it's also that we realize that what we are putting in our bodies, it's going to be nourishing. It's going to be supportive in terms of helping us feel good. We often talk about the gut being the second brain. Now, if you are constantly pushing things that just don't feel good on your stomach and you feel horrible and your gut's affected, it's going to make you feel terrible up here as well. And you start getting all this sort of foggy headed and feeling foggy and full in the mind and achy and just not really wanting to move, and sluggish as well. Sluggish is the word that I'm looking for. So again, just really thinking about that. And then also on the other spectrum, there could be some under eating that's occurring. And when we're under eating, well, you're not really helping your energy levels. And when we start to become deficient in things nutritionally, these can also affect our mood. When our nutrition is good, we also might think about our supplementation being equally good as well. So everything matters in terms of, the house of cards and making sure we've got everything in place. And again, this is where routine comes in. Routine's going to help create stability, and that structure that we provide within the program is going to help provide you with something steady to rely on when life gets hectic or chaotic. And so I just want you to kind of draw your eyes to this image that I've got here. And this is you in the middle. This is you. And it's just thinking about how all of this is intertwined, the routine, the nutrition, and the fitness. So when we're going through turbulent times, just kind of thinking about how those things almost create that impact, that sort of cohesion as well. And now common myths or things that we might, again, that hold you back, and things that you might say when you're going through times of challenges, when you're going through challenges in life. Again, what are these challenges? Are these emotional burdens occurring because of work? Are they occurring because of relationships? Are they occurring because of family situations or losses as well? Again, these sorts of feelings come up around Christmas. So, give yourself a chance to obviously, grieve and whatever you're going through, but also remember that we need those pillars. These things are going to help support us. So you may say that because of everything, I don't have enough time to commit right now. But the truth is, it's not about going all or nothing. Those small, consistent steps are going to matter more than the actual perfection of everything. Life isn't perfect. And then waiting, I'll wait, these words again, these things, they might resonate with you. You may have said them before. I'll wait until things calm down. The truth is, life is always going to bring challenges. And this is why it's so important that not only that do we start now, we continue that as well. And another thing that might be sort of again something you might say when there's really a lack of fear or trust again with perfection. It all comes down to perfection, and I don't want to fail or I don't want to do it wrong. Any progress is going to be better than staying stuck. And I haven't got these words up on the screen, but I want you to kind of take a moment to think about a time in your life when you faced a challenge and you knew that you had to get through the stuff to keep you together. So again, maybe we might take it back to when you're at university, that things might be going on in life, but do you know what? You need to finish and you need to get through this course or this degree. You've got to work through it despite all the challenges going through. And if you take yourself back to that time, although it may not have been perfect, you got through, you made it out the other end, and you were successful as a result. And you could have given up, but you chose to stay resilient. And again, this is any time that, we think about these situations in life. And I will take it back to perhaps maybe something from myself, some of the things that I've been through. And maybe I'll talk to you about the first time I decided to go and do a bikini bodybuilding competition. I had three things happen to me at once. So I remember that it was December 2016 and I was personal training in a gym. And there were three things that happened to me. I was personal training, but I was also coaching gymnastics during this period as well. And I decided that I was going to start my 16-week prep to get ready to go and do my first physique competition. And so this is the first one that I was going to do. I was in unknown territory. I had no idea if I was going to sink or swim. And I remember it being a Monday, got started on the Monday. I had a coach as well. And by Wednesday, I could have given up because so much happened to me during that time. So firstly, I was coaching gymnastics. I used to coach in socks. You don't wear trainers, you don't wear shoes when you're coaching. I know some coaches, again, maybe if I ever went back to it, I would definitely wear trainers, indoor shoes. But you'd wear socks around the gym. So that's what a lot of the gymnasts wear as well. I had a fire door, a really heavy fire door, run over my foot. So my big toe, very graphic at the time, awfully painful. The entire toenail of my big toe came up. It came up and it twisted and it was literally like a corkscrew. And the coaches around me were like, don't you dare look at your foot right now, because they knew how hideous it was. They had to cut around my sock and then just sort of add a very loose dressing over the top. And then one of my colleagues, she took me to A&E and they glued it and whatever it is that they do. But that happened. And as a result, I ended up being on crutches for a couple of weeks because I could put no pressure in that area. And I still went in and trained because I'd set myself this task that I wanted to go and do this challenge. And I was like, right, I need to do it. Then what happened was my granddad suffered a fall, and that was really stressful. And it turned out that he actually had like a heart attack, right? So again, this is going back a good few years, and I think they operated with him at the time, and he had a stent put in or what have you. But that was really scary, and he also had a fall, so he actually fell and he fell backwards. He used to walk every morning at like 5 a.m. in the morning. He used to go and walk outdoors and just just start the day. It's his generation. That's what they do. They get up, the crack of dawn, and they go out and walk. And he fell backwards, and I think somebody had stopped and they'd found his mobile was on him, and he went to A&E or what have you. And he'd basically forgotten who he was and stuff momentarily. Thank goodness he's okay now. He's all right. He's all well and good now. He's 92 now, but back then it was a very scary time, and that could have been something that made me stop. Then I had something really tough happened. I actually lost a friend. So a friend that I went to university with, and I'm very grateful for some of the things that she and the impact she had on my life as well, in terms of her spirit and her encouragement and her drive to also want to push me along during my degree as well, when we were both studying. So with my degree, I did sports therapy, and back then we had to do placements and stuff, and she sort of helped me find certain things. And she was just such a beautiful soul, such a nice person to be around. And she sadly passed away. And it was really tough because she had actually suffered, I believe they found like a tumor in her brain. And it was, she was in hospital. She was over at St. George's. And this is, again, this is going back, during that period. This has all happened at once. All these three things happened at once. And we'd gone to see her, me and my friends, and we were in, we went in there, and she's like, we went to go and get some food with her, and she wasn't really allowed to leave the room, and we made a joke about it, and we came out and we went and got her to go and get some food, and then we went back in. But when she passed away, it was really sad because I felt massively guilty because I hadn't actually seen her since that time. It had been a year since I'd gone in and actually seen her and checked in. And so I felt really bad and terribly guilty because, again, this is what happens. Your careers, you get so heavy into it. And, again, um, it was a tough time. But one thing that I had was I had this goal that I wanted to achieve, and I had to stay resilient, and I had to kind of go, right now you can either sink or swim. You can either ride that wave and have it heavy on your heart and push through those challenges and continue going forward, or you've got the choice to stop and actually be in your feelings and do nothing. But unfortunately, what happens then is you stop this, this wave of momentum, and the normal doesn't support you. The normal becomes something else. And I know that we all deal with things and challenges in various different ways, but this is from my perspective. There have been other things that have happened over the course of, other instances as well, other challenges that have occurred, but maybe we'll save those stories for another time. But I just thought it would be important to just kind of highlight a little bit of a scenario that I kind of brought back some memories there. So yeah, when we think about the real life benefits of actually prioritizing self-care, what we're going to get from this is we're going to have improved energy, more stamina to handle those daily demands. We are going to have better emotional control as well, reduce the stress and improve your mood. Thinking again about how the pillars of nutrition and exercise or even activity, whether it's mobility or walking or what have you, these things are going to help improve your mood. And believe it or not, if you are engaged in looking after yourself in that self-care and looking after your health and your fitness, you're going to have healthier relationships. You'll be building stronger foundations that allow you to show up better for your loved ones. So it's not just your partner that we're talking about, it's also the impact that you have as being this person on your children and also your friends around you as well. And what do? We also build resilience for the future by working through these challenges, building habits that allow you to, that help you, building habits now helps you face future challenges with confidence because you go, you know what? I've been through that. I knew what happened, but I chose to work through it. And it's not going to be perfect. I promise you, it's not going to be perfect, but it's the way that we handle the situations and the scenarios that are going to continue teaching us and pushing us forward throughout our lives. So I thought this was an interesting quote to kind of mention. Challenges are what make life interesting, and overcoming them is what makes life meaningful. So, practical ways to kind of get started with this, especially if you have been in a little bit of a funk and it's meant that you've taken some time out and you've needed that space to breathe because yes, it is important, but fitness, committing to 15 minutes a day of movement can really help. Focusing on activities that you actually enjoy. Um, whether that is dancing or it's swimming or it's getting out and walking. Again, being around other people as well really helps. Nutrition. So you could start by, planning your balanced meals and again, making sure that you're ticking off the protein, the carbs, and the fats. And we don't do this cycle of skipping meals to prevent the emotional eating. If there is a situation happening and you think, oh, I got to skip because I don't want to have, a scenario where I go to the other end and I go all out. Well, actually, you need to kind of sit somewhere in the middle. So it's really important that we get balanced and then we make adjustments where needed. And in terms of your mindset, journaling and self-reflection daily is really good at helping you process emotions. I've been there in the past. I've still actually got a couple of little journal books, gratitude diaries as well, that definitely were a part of my own recovery as well for other things that I've gone through throughout life. But journaling, understanding, and sort of having that output and that outlet to kind of process what's going on. It's just a really nice way of brain dumping and just letting everything out. Um, our reflections that we do as well, and we even can bring it back to what we do inside the program, our weekly self-reflections are really positive. And I think, again, it allows you to kind of slow down with fitness and nutrition, actually go, where am I right now, week on week, as opposed to kind of going straight hell for leather, doing everything and going, you're not even managing how you're progressing. So it's really important that we look at those as well. And breathing exercises are actually really useful to kind of ground yourself in tough moments. And I would probably say that this might tie into your sort of fun activity in some ways that again, if you find meditation hard or focusing on breathing hard, there are so many different apps that you can find. I believe there's one called like the mindfulness app. And it comes up with a little flower and it kind of teaches you how to breathe by focusing on the object as it sort of grows on your screen and shrinks. That's really good. You've got other sort of various ways of breathing. So like box breathing as well, sort of counting in fours one way, holding, bringing it forward. So there's so many, excuse me, different ways of doing the breathing stuff and maybe even just kind of sitting and just being in that place and focusing on your breath and just being aware of it. And what really ties in nicely with this is yoga. Again, certain types of yoga can be really helpful. Don't quote me on it, but I believe it's the yin yoga that does actually allow you to kind of sit, focus on a few different poses, but actually work through that mindfulness as well. Loads of guided meditations and stuff as well to help you through. But yeah, how can I support you? I hope this in itself, this topic today, bit heavy for Christmas week, but I just thought equally it was important, especially if you are going through some tough times and you just want to have some reflection there and kind of bring you back in and think about how this all ties into life as well. So again, we've got that sort of personalized approach to the fitness and nutrition. We can tailor these things to your life. If it means that we're focusing on different pillars, that's absolutely fine as well. And we've got those weekly check-ins to keep you on track. So even when things are getting tough and you're not doing the exercise, we're still doing that self-reflection process. We're still eating, right? So it's really important that even if exercise or fitness isn't a part of your life during tough times, that nutrition is and movement is. So again, we're focusing on building these habits and managing stress and just trying to find ourselves within the balance. But thank you so much for listening. I really hope this has been helpful. Again, make sure if you want to discuss this in a little bit more detail and we have a bit more of that kind of chat as well, that you reach out to me. And again, if you've just stumbled across this episode or this podcast, you can reach out to me on Instagram as well, at Ritu Bra. But thank you for listening. This has been the Girl Boss Method, and we will see you here next time.